Welcome back. So what to do next? Well, let's actually try and create a new access point right here, a new method, another type of a GET request. Now, we're going to try first to open up the web API to this GET request that I want to create. And then next lesson, we'll dive throughout the entire architecture and get from the web API to the service to the repository and get data all the way back. And I'll show you just step by step how we can easily implement this new feature that we are building. And in this case, it's going to be GET request. And we're going to add an ID as a parameter so we can get an ID or get a video by ID. That's the goal of this new feature that I'm going to build. So let's start out inside the web API again, inside my controller. And here we are going to make a new GET request. And notice, I just want to show you a flaw first. So we'll make it public right here. We'll say it's going to return an action result, a single video in this case, and it's going to be GetById. Just to kind of add a name right here. It's really up to you what the name should be. And then of course, in order to do this, we need to somehow pass in the ID. And let's just start for now and return null right here, just to kind of see how far we are. You'll get an error here, and I want to mention this because let's restart the service. What's actually going to happen is Swagger is going to tell us this is not allowed. You're doing something wrong right here because, let's try and refresh the page, it doesn't know which of these ones are the actual GET request. It has two GET requests available now, so which one is actually the right one to use when I'm sending an HTTP GET. So how do I kind of explain to the system that they are two different GET requests? I can use parameters. So what I'll do is, right here, I'll put in a parenthesis to explain something new is going to be passed into the GET request. And in this case, it's going to be a parameter. So I'll put in a couple of, actually I'll start by putting in a string, I'll put in a couple of curly brackets, and then I can actually explain to the system what's going to be passed in from the outside. In this case, I want to pass in an ID like this. So let's just save this and rerun the system. The system is running, and let's go back and refresh our API. And now you'll notice there's something here called API videos, and it's GET request, and it has a /ID right here in the end. And that actually means I can start passing in parameters from the outside, meaning in this case, I can pass in an ID. That could be 2, for instance. So if I execute this now, I would actually pass in 2 right here in this parameter right here. So how can I use that? Well, luckily we're not quite there yet. Luckily you can actually also down here add an ID like this that just needs to have the same exact name like the name you see here. So this name must match this name. And if that's the case, it'll automatically, again, just like we had with the from body, it'll automatically take that parameter and pass it into this area right here automatically. And now I can use the ID so I can actually return and find a new video, which we'll do in the next lesson. But let's just figure out the rest of the HTTP request first. I'll put in a breakpoint right here and I'll just debug. There we go. And now you'll see that whenever I put in an ID now here in the end, it'll actually automatically try and pass it into this ID we see right here. So what I can actually do is I can actually click try it out and I can put in an ID. Let's put in 2 right here and let's just execute this right here. Notice here's the URL it's going to create for me. So let's actually execute it. Boom. Here it hits the ID of 2 now. It hits that GET request with the / and then the ID in the end, just like you saw out here, / and the ID in the end. And if I go back, you'll notice that 2 is now passed into this one. The parameter right here has the ID of 2 now, and it actually is the number 2. And I can then use that later on in order to go through my layers and find the video with ID number 2 and return it inside my action result. Happy days. Let's just continue for now, and you'll see the response is just no content right now because of course I'm not returning anything at all. But notice what you can see right here is this is the URL now. It has /videos / and then it puts in the number 2 right here, meaning that I add a parameter to the end of my normal URL to hit the videos controller. So that's it for this lesson. Now you know a little bit about how to get the parameter into the web API. Now we just need to figure out how we can actually get the video now throughout our layers. So that'll be for the next video where we try and walk through the clean architecture and create a GetById. See you next time. Bye.